Let the magic rise.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hey, oh, hold on. Whoa, oh! Howdy, folks. Oh, welcome to Jingly-Jangly. Fake news and imaginary views for the post-truth society. Yeah. Yes, your antidote to reality with Piers Conham. That's him in London. And Olly Connolly. That's me in Spain. No Gary Branson. He's moving house, which is a pathetic excuse, but his chickens are likely confused nonetheless. He's going to explain. Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. And seeing as we couldn't hear him last week, we're trying again with independent presidential candidate Michael Finley, cannabis lawyer, foodie, a certified natural health professional, all-round decent bloke who swears he never gets stoned on a case. Big cheers to everyone here at Revolution Radio, especially to Mona Radler, who was particularly feral tonight. Ooh, she didn't do that. No, that was Piers. There's various times, depending on where you are, so I just look at a clock. Here it's dark and the moon's up. Piers, are you there?
I am. I'm just reading some of Michael's natural cures for cancer, and I think I'm in serious trouble.
Yeah.
I've just read the first one, flour, potatoes, fruits, except for lemons, limes, peppers, and avocados. Pork. Don't eat too much pork and excessive meat. Coffee. I drink tons of coffee. I smoke. I drink. I must be the most acidic man alive. Yeah. I think I'm about to develop a huge tumor. In fact, I can feel it coming out of my neck right now. I'm growing a second head. Honestly, just reading this stuff is giving me cancer. Because I'm about.
It's probably increasing your stress level.
How you doing, brother? Are you all right?
Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad. You know, just very good.
What's the weather doing down in Valencia? What's the weather doing?
It was raining today. We had rain. It was lovely. The garden's happy. The farmers are happy. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, because the farmers are having a bad time of it down there, aren't they? I mean, I've been reading.
They're always complaining.
Oh, are they? I heard that there was a bit of have you got artichokes growing in the fields around Valencia at the moment?
We do, yeah. I think it's artichoke season, which is very nice.
It is. I've been out for artichoke season in the past, and they are delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, I love artichokes. Oh, do they give you cancer? Maybe artichokes give you cancer, and we need to strike those off the list as well. I don't know. I seem to like everything that gives you cancer. So I think I'm not long for I think I'm not long for this world. I think probably I would have everything in my body would have metastasized by the end of the show, and I'll be lying in a pool of my own. I don't know, cancerous goo.
Go on, Piers, you're on heat tonight, man. Tell us more about your cancer. It's hilarious.
Well, I'm hoping I haven't got cancer, he says, opening the window and leaning out to have a cigarette. But I mean, one sincerely hopes that I'm going to be one of the ones that sort of cheats death and sort of puts up the middle finger and says,
"You're just going to fall out the window." I mean, you're probably cheat cancer.
Well, I might as well just throw myself out of the window now, because I'll save myself a lot of medical bills and and a lot of trouble, a lot of pain and grief. I might as well just lob myself out of the window now. But I mean, it's going to be very interesting to talk about this, actually, because I'm a firm believer that we've been sold down.
What are we talking about? We're talking about the fact that the cancer industry is a bit dodge, yeah?
Absolutely, it's completely dodge. I'm totally with Michael Finley on this subject, and it's going to be very interesting to have a chat with him about it. I mean, I do firmly believe that legitimate and far more potent cures that have existed for a long time, and basically they're being kept from the public because big pharma like to make lots of money out of chemicals, and we can also talk about how
cynical.
well, it is cynical, but you look at the rates of cancer seem to be exploding across the globe right now. My flatmate, who's a nurse, was telling me how
people are careless.
Well, I don't think it is. I think it's because we live in a chemically infused environment. I think we're eating more cancer-inducing things. We're drinking more cancer-inducing things. Everything's fluoridated.
You're not suggesting McDonald's is cancerous.
I think just anybody that goes in McDonald's is going to get cancer. I mean, you only have to step through the door and breathe the air in there, and you're guaranteed to get riddled with all kinds of nasty
I watched that Super Size Me, and I had to go and get an immediate dose of chemo.
What was that chap's name? What was his name? I can't remember. He had a strange name.
I can't remember.
He was trying to
but Michael
Moore was already eaten everything.
Yeah, he ate all the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And
that's good.
Piers, this has been a massive week for Brexit. Has it not? I mean, this has been a historic week. Potentially, it could go down as one of the biggest weeks in UK political history since Magna Carta.
Well, yes. I mean, they voted unanimously for the triggering of Article 50.
Well, not unanimously. There were a few playwrights left in the...
It was a 498 votes to 114 against. So there were still 114 people who decided to vote against democracy. We were given the referendum in this country, and most of the time the politicians decide for us. But on this particular occasion, because of the magnitude of the situation, they decided to give us the opportunity to vote to either leave or stay. And we all, the majority of people voted to leave. However, there are still...
Well, it was 52-48, wasn't it? And because it's a referendum, it's not like a region by region type thing, or...
No, exactly. I mean, I think a lot of the MPs will have voted in the same direction as their constituents. But even so, it's fairly unanimous.
Fair enough, in a way. I mean, I have to say, I'm not sure that there's been a lot of fallout, hasn't there? Like, he or she, they voted for that, and they voted for the other. And they should have voted with a country. But if their constituency voted to remain, then I got to say, being a Brexiteer, not a Remainer at all, I kind of sympathise with that. I have to say,
I think it makes sense. Although I think a lot of the majority have voted. If you look at the majority vote, it's still a far larger margin than the proportion of between the
bigger than you or I dared hope it would be. No, by a long chalk, I'd say.
Well, I think they're all worried about losing their jobs. I think if there was a snap general election, then obviously I think the majority of people would they'd be unelected and out of a job.
On.
So
Piers, hold on. Are you standing in a windy spot?
I'm sorry, I'm smoking out of the window. I'm trying to induce cancer so we can cure me live on air. I can try all the different recipes. Although I don't think I've got all the necessary ingredients. I'm closing the window now.
Okay, I just wonder where that wind was coming from. That's fine. So yes. It was coming from Westminster all week, but actually they did wrap up with a vote that tallied with the British people. I mean, this is amazing. I've seen more democracy in the last 12 months in terms of, well, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people against the decision in the UK and against the decision in the US, for example. But nonetheless, I reckon I've seen I'm overdosing on democracy. I mean, in the UK, this Brexit thing, now it looks as though it's going to happen. That's the first time I would say that, but now it looks as though it's going to happen.
Well, if this vote to ratify Article 50 is anything to go by, which one would assume it is, then yes, I agree with you. It looks as if it will be ratified. It will go ahead, and then we will undergo a 2-year period of negotiation where the logistics of Article 50 will be thrown around.
Article 50 is this clause in the Lisbon Treaty, which basically means that if any member state wants to leave the EU, they ratify, or they implement this thing and say we're quitting under Article 50, and then they've got 2 years to negotiate some kind of divorce settlement.
That's right.
Which is going to be fun, isn't it? But I mean, we've already had a lot of it. So there seems to be mixed kind of messages we're getting from the EU now, because on the one hand, there's a few kind of nasty words going on, but there's also some sensible voices saying, you know what, I think we still probably need to trade if we want to retain employment. Half decent employment statistics over the course of the next few years in these Eurobloc countries and in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's posturing. I think everybody stands to lose out if they cut the UK out of the recipe. It is a lot of talk and a lot of rhetoric, and it's just I think things will work out fine. It's just the Brits have decided that they want their to make their own decisions. They don't want to have all their laws made in Brussels or Strasbourg.
I'm just amazed, though, Piers. I mean, the difference between now and 2 years ago is astronomical in terms of UK politics and in terms of EU politics, and therefore in terms, quite aside from Trump, in terms of global politics. This is huge.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we are witnessing a changing world, a very dramatically changing world, and I'm still not entirely sure what direction it's going in. I'm quietly optimistic for all kinds of reasons.
Well, it's going against globalism, isn't it?
Well, it is going against globalism. I mean, as we've discussed in previous shows, I don't really know what I feel about Donald Trump and what his true motivations are. I do think we're witnessing the first truly kind of independent presidential candidate that we've seen in a long time. I think all the other ones have basically been puppets working for the globalist agenda. And now we have an individual who somehow, by hook or crook, managed to get elected, who is his own man. And obviously, a lot of people will be trying to get close to him to influence him from the old globalist sect. But you see, I think it's still too early to say. I think he's made a lot of unpalatable decisions so far that have obviously caused an enormous amount of outrage.
What do you think is the worst? What do you think is the worst?
Well, there's a few. The pipeline issue. The fact that that's just been sort of resolutely, steamrolled, and the abortion is obviously a big issue, and I'm still wondering what he's really planning on doing with his foreign policy. But I mean, there's a number of things that seem pretty unpalatable. But part of me thinks that he may be being deliberately sensational in order to sort of distract the general populace. The sort of, whenever there's a headline, however, if there's a really crazy headline, the likelihood is it means that something they're trying to hide that is even, the crazier the headline, the bigger the thing it is they're trying to hide. Yeah. So I do get this feeling with Trump that we are sort of leading up to something. And a lot of what he's doing at the moment is partially designed to distract everyone. And I think there is a lot of serious negotiation going on behind the scenes. And I do believe he is wholeheartedly against the globalist agenda. I mean, he's made it very clear that he's anti-EU, very pro-Britain. And
he has said some wonderful anti-EU things, hasn't he? I got to say, I found myself punching the air a few times over the kind of things that I've heard Trump say about the EU and the reaction on the faces of those technocrats as they hear those things. I tell you, I get quite excited about that. I'm feeling quite deplorable about his EU stance, I have to say.
Yes, indeed. Yes, yes. I mean, he does shoot from the hip. He's a different type of president. I mean, the last one we had was very
An idiot.
articulate.
He was an
Well,
idiot. He
well,
was
no,
a
yeah,
complete idiot. I
he
mean,
wasn't an he wasn't an
you
idiot.
reckon
No, I
no, he
don't.
was
I
a
don't think he was.
puppet, a useless tosser.
He was a puppet. He was a puppet. I don't doubt that for a minute.
Puppet.
He was completely controlled. He read the auto cue very well. You know,
Yeah.
he
Nice
was good on
smile.
he was
Nice.
good on a great on a chat show. You know, he was charismatic. He could win the audience over with
He
his
was a
charm.
dick. I mean,
But actually,
God,
when it came to it, he basically did
Libya,
achieve very little.
Syria, Yemen.
Well, he just kept the
Dick.
globalist agenda going. You know, I mean, he was. I think there was more war, you know, under his rule than any other president in in a long time. But I mean, like, it's so yeah. I mean,
And he got a
Obama
big-
was a puppet, as were all the other presidents prior to him. But now, for the first time ever, we've got a president who has come in and actually has some sort of real presidential remit. You know, he's you know, I mean, but having said that, you know, is Donald Trump going to be able to cope with the pressure and actually, I mean, I'm hoping that the people he's sort of building a team around himself, I hope that, you know, I mean, in the first week or so, I haven't been overtly impressed with what he's chosen to do. I think a lot of it's highly questionable, but I also do think we do have to take a stance against. I mean, as we've discussed on previous shows, the rise of radical Islam, I think, is largely down to Western wars and the proliferation. And
what about Catholic pedophiles?
Well, I've got some really weird alternative views on all of that, which I could bore everybody with. Perhaps not. But you know, it does seem that there is. Yeah, maybe next week. But yeah, it does seem, the pedophilia.
Keep guessing, Piers. They all want to hear what you've got to say.
It's really
I know they do.
weird. The whole thing is very strange. It does seem. You see, I don't personally believe that these.
Piers.
Yeah.
We should point out that Gary, our Gary, he's a bit of a liberal, really, isn't he? He's a bit of a liberal. Let's face it.
He is. Yeah, no, he'd hate the fact that we've even given Trump even the time of day.
No, but I think we're pretty fair.
I'm very much waiting to see what happens with Trump. I do, as I said, I think there's a hidden agenda at play, a very large and very fundamentally important hidden agenda with Trump, and I think a lot of what he's doing is a sort of smokescreen and mirage, in order to sort of keep everybody, basically kind of saying,
I don't know. I mean, I'm finding it very, very a lot of fun just to watch everybody decide what he is and he isn't really when he hasn't actually done anything yet. Really, I mean, he said he's going to build the wall. Well, the wall. Well, that'll create some jobs. I said war. Yeah, maybe that was I don't know. Let's hope he builds.
Well, I think the wall is. I think the wall is just a job creation exercise. I mean, it
is a bit New Deal-ish.
Yeah,
he's gonna anyway. I mean, apart from that, I mean, really, what has he actually done? He said 7 countries they can't come in yet. Well, Obama did that, and actually, these folks, they should be screened. These are dodgy countries. They're dodgy.
Well, they are screened already. They are screened already. They are screened pretty. The screening process that was already in place is pretty thorough. It's causing sensation. It's headline grabbing, and I do think this is sort of slightly
the same. So did Carter.
Well, yeah, it's not that Obama certainly has banned people from Iraq, and he was the one. Yeah, it was his administration that came up with this list of 7 countries. I mean, it is weird that Saudi Arabia always seems to manage to stay off this list.
Yeah.
I mean, that always amuses me, considering that this thing on 9/11, this paper, this official report said that it was, Saudis, that it was government-sponsored Saudi terrorists. It strikes me as very odd. But I mean, obviously, the oil arrangements that America has can't be jeopardized. And so it's a sort of, one of these situations where
it's a lot of rollicks.
Well, it is, but at the end of the day, until we come up with a viable alternative to the internal combustion engine, then basically Saudi Arabia are going to they're going to turn a blind eye to every atrocity the Saudis involve themselves with. And plus, America and the UK.
Iranians aren't so bad. I think the Iranians are fine, but the Saudis are a bunch. The Saudi royal family is just a tosspot. I mean, it is a horrid thing that needs to. It needs to be eliminated, at least in terms of its influence on global politics. It's a mafia state, and it's in charge of human rights at the UN. What is?
Well, yeah, that is one of the most absurd. Well, in one way, you could argue that giving them that responsibility means that they're duty bound to think about human rights when they might not otherwise do so. But the whole thing does, on face value, just seem absurd. I mean, the issues surrounding kind of Wahhabist.
Right, he is right to say that the UN is a corrupted lot of old. It needs either binning or reforming, same as the EU.
Yeah, in many respects, as perverse as it sounds, and as the people look at the ideology behind the UN and would balk at the thought that America would even consider leaving. I've got Laura Eisenhower saying, "Is he calling soon?" We were hoping to get Laura Eisenhower on the show tonight, as well as dear Michael. And Laura's, to those that don't know, is Dwight Eisenhower's granddaughter. And I've been haranguing her, trying to get her on the show. I think Laura, if you good looking, she's not a bad looking girl. Yeah, I have to say.
So,
although shouldn't.
There's a quandary.
We shouldn't objectify it, Laura, in that way. Ollie,
why not?
Because
hold on. Well, why not? You're a bloke with a swinging dick, and so am I.
Please.
So
behave. No, Laura, I think Ollie sent you a
I'm
friend
being unpolitically correct
on Skype with a little ditty about him, Ollie Connolly, being the Jingly-Jangly producer. If you can see that request, if you can agree to his friendship now, we'll pull you into the show. I don't know, but she is. She did.
I was just talking about your swinging dick.
I know,
man.
Well,
that's
this is
not
what
cool.
I'm saying. I don't know whether she's listening or not. I mean, apologies for my friend Ollie, Laura, if you are listening.
My friend Piers is a bad influence.
No, you're just.
So what are we going to do then? How are we going to get her on?
I'll go back to her now and just say, look,
we've got Michael
on Skype. Yeah, pull Michael in. Pull Michael.
Well, hold on. So we've got Laura. What's she going to do? Is she going to try and connect with me on Skype? Is that the deal?
And I'm saying go on Skype and befriend Ollie.
You go on there. You deal with that. Ollie Connolly. That's it on Skype. And anybody else?
Show.
There you go. So we do possibly have Ike Eisenhower's granddaughter on the show today, and that would be lovely and fascinating.
I think Michael and Laura will get on, and she's a very interesting girl. Actually, I've heard her talk on. She's done lots of radio, and she's an international speaker. I think she's going out to Australia this year to speak at an EXO conference out there. So yeah, she's well versed in a lot of.
I'll wait for her, Piers. I'll wait for her to get in touch with me. But in the meantime, we do have Michael Finley, and Michael is an old one of our friends on this show. He's been on a few times. He was on last week, but his microphone was useless, so we kicked him off. But this week, we had a chat earlier, him and I, and his microphone's a bit better, and he is a bit cheap, is Michael. I have to say, he does. but he's a nice bloke, and he's quite bright. He was an independent presidential candidate, and he's a cannabis lawyer, and I reckon that's a good cause. I'd fight for that. And he's a foodie. He's an activist and all that. He's a certified natural health professional, indeed. He's an all-round decent bloke. And he is on Jingly-Jangly on Revolution Radio. Michael Finley.
Hello. Good to be on with you guys.
Hey.
Thanks for coming back, Michael. You sound so much crisper and clearer than
Piers.
last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How are you, Michael? Where are you? You're in California.
I'm in California, Valencia, California, Santa Clarita, California.
You're in Valencia, California. I'm in Valencia, Spain.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's a nice little synchronicity there, guys. You know, I mean, I believe in these little synchronicities. I think that that bodes well. Yeah, no, Valencia.
That actually dates back to a time when California was part of Mexico, I would imagine, and probably some conquistador popped off from here, and probably from my hometown, my wife's hometown, and knocked a few people on the head in Valencia, as is now in California, and nicked their land and called it Valencia, California, and now they want to secede, don't they? California, they want to go back to Mexico or something, or Canada, or whoever takes in.
Based on one of the recent surveys, about a third of the people in California are interested in seceding from the union. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Doesn't this happen every time? Like when the Democrats are in, they all want to secede from Texas, and when the GOP gets in, they all want to secede from California. Is that what happens?
It seems that way. You know, we keep electing people from the same two parties, and we keep getting upset, and we keep getting similar results from both parties. You know, there's a saying that if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. So I think it's time we stop electing those same two parties.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they're both, you know, essentially they're both working for the same people anyway. I mean, it's just two sides of the same coin. You know, it's their design to give people the feeling that they have some sense of democracy, and yeah, we've been all fooled by the same democratic process in the UK for years, as have everybody in the States. You know, I mean, it's yeah, it's time we started to introduce new parties into the ballot and started. Yeah, some independence. You know, I'd say this is the perfect time for decent burgeoning. You know, I mean, obviously there's sort of the huge amount of money involved with the election process has to be changed. I think, you know, perhaps there should be a designated fund given by the people to candidates, or I don't know how you'd work it, but the system has to change because there's so much bribery involved. I mean, it's absurd. You know, and I'm sure apparently Trump has. Basically made some sort of announcement that he wants, you know, his team to start pursuing the Clintons again now, and it would be very interesting to see what comes out in relation to that.
That would be nice, Michael, if he did that. Or do you think that's you know, not going to happen?
Well, people are going to just assume I'm a Hillary hater, but actually, I hate everyone equally when it comes to politics. I love people in general, but when it comes to politicians, I'm kind of an equal opportunity hater. But, you know, my main feeling about Hillary is, why should she get a pass? Anybody else accused of similar crimes would be prosecuted, and it would be determined in court whether or not the allegations are valid and accurate. Instead of having an FBI director just say, well, you know, I get along great with Hillary, so, you know, she's a friend, and I have connections with her foundation and everything, so
Who said that?
I'm just going to give her a pass.
Who said that? Comey didn't say that. Who said that?
No, he didn't admit that, but it appears to be the case.
Oh, really?
So my point is that, yeah, I'm kind of reading between the lines. But see, because she's rich and famous and influential, she's getting a pass and not getting prosecuted for something that all of the rest of us would be prosecuted for. Now, the point is, the legal process is supposed to play itself out, and then for those who think she's innocent, okay, well, if she is, then during that trial, that innocence will be established. And certainly it is presumed that she's innocent until she's proven guilty. But there appears to be plenty of evidence on which to bring the charges, and let's find out. Let's find out, is she innocent or guilty?
Maybe their reluctance to bring her to trial is the opening this can of worms, and if you do, then it's going to end up implicating, so many people that it would sort of basically bring down the system because everybody's had a little bite of the Clinton Foundation pie, and we don't know how many people could be implicated in Congress and Senate. And if the whole system fails overnight, then obviously what are you going to replace it with? So I think a lot of the reluctance to sort of talk about this issue is largely down to the fact that it's a damage.
What are you going to replace it with? Hold on, let me just say something. Two things actually. First of all, I think Meryl Streep would be fantastic to play Hillary Clinton when she goes to jail. That's the first thing I want to say. And the second thing is that Spain couldn't decide between the tossers on the one side and the tossers on the other side in an election. And so they basically gave a split vote and they couldn't put together a coalition. Nobody could put together a coalition. And they went without a government here in Spain for about over a year, or it was almost a year. And the economy started improving and people were happy. They didn't feel there were so many tossers looking over their shoulders all the time, doing things like imposing, like, you can't take pictures of the police. Oh no, you can't do these are the kind of things they've been doing. Anyway, so they didn't have a government for a year and the country improved. What does that tell you?
Well, yeah, we need to decrease big government, don't we? I mean, that seems to be big government seems to be the biggest problem.
But also, Piers, I think we need to stop placing so much importance on it. I mean, if we had no government, we kind of get along. We kind of, in Spain, I tell you, they kind of got along. And the EU's ineffective anyway. They just have kind of, got their finger in the air looking for the win.
Yeah, that's all about the giant corporatization, and the homogenization under the corporate rule. I mean, this is not the way forward as far as I'm concerned. We should be going high tech and local. I mean, we should start growing neighborhoods that can become almost
about those herb shops again, aren't you?
Well, I'm talking about sort of, I mean, decentralize power and create sort of neighborhoods around wherever you are, where, and whatever environment you're in, weather-wise, and optimize, what you can do in that environment, and become as self-sufficient as you can, and use all the latest technology, and keep in touch with everybody, and share skills with neighboring territories and areas, where there's a lack of skill, you can pull people in from neighboring territories, and start to sort of try and create a sort of
shop local,
shop local, exactly,
accountable politics.
You can grow everything.
Michael, that was actually your mandate for president, wasn't it? That was kind of what you ran on.
Yes, absolutely. There's a couple things. One is money corrupts. The people misquote the Bible. People say the Bible says that money is the root of all evil. That's not true. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And let me tell you something, our politicians love money. So that is a problem. And so you get people attached to these purse strings where they've had so much money donated, and the bigger the donator, the more that donator feels an entitlement to have their agenda enacted by the person to whom they donated. So I that is one of the principal things I ran on, was getting money out of politics. I also talked about how every law takes away a freedom, and we have buildings full of laws. So all of those volumes and volumes and volumes of laws have chipped away at freedoms.
Michael, that's an interesting point, because that was one of the executive orders this week, wasn't it? That Trump said every new legislation, you have to take 2 off the books. Is that right?
Regulations, he said, not legislation technically, right, but regulations. There's a slight difference, but
is that going to help, or is that a bit of a full sell, or what?
Well, a lot of times you have somebody who says these things. Is it actually followed? Because we've heard all kinds of great things from politicians, and we've even had good legislation occasionally that gives people hope, and then next thing you know, nothing's happening with it, or it was determined to be unconstitutional. So I think it's a great idea to reduce our regulations and to eliminate unnecessary legislation. One of the problems is you get these people, they get elected, they get to Congress, and then people are asking, what are you doing for me? So they feel like they have to be doing something, they have to be enacting some kind of a law. They have to be making something happen. Whereas really, they could do a lot better for us by clearing away the junk and reducing things back to only what's necessary, so that it doesn't take away too many freedoms from us. I've actually become a bit of a voluntarist, which is kind of an organized, almost anarchist system, in which there's a social contract where people make an agreement to get along and to cooperate with each other, and that's it. And you have a very, very minimalist amount of rules to follow, and your primary rule is to do no harm. So,
Michael, have you heard of a chap?
Have you heard of a guy called?
Have you heard of a guy called Michael Tellinger?
Yes.
Because he's got a project in South Africa called the Ubuntu Project, and what he's trying to do is create a society, a town in South Africa that basically doesn't use money at all, and creates a sort of self-sufficient, sort of self-sustaining society.
Kind of like the Venus Project from
sounds a bit like
Fresco.
Sounds a bit like Jeffrey. Well, sorry, go on.
Go on. What it sounds a bit like who?
Well, I was going to say it sounds a bit like Jeffrey Epstein. He didn't take so much cash as sexual favors. Sorry.
What's that got to do? What's that got to do with self-sufficiency, Ollie?
Well, it seems to work in DC. I mean,
I'm going to go on record saying that I prefer a society that's not based on sexual favors.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Laura says she has befriended you on Skype, and I don't know. Can you not see her befriending you, Ollie?
Okay. I'm looking.
I'm a little butchers now.
I will. I'm
Jeffrey Epstein and self-sufficiency. Now there's a conundrum.
How does that work with Ubuntu project in South Africa? It's nothing to do with
people should go and check it out. Michael Tellinger, he's been on Gaia with Wilcock and Gurdon, talking about this stuff, actually, about how we need to stop sort of worshipping money in the sense that we do, and we might have to use money going forward for a while in order to sort of maintain some sort of sanity, but we can slowly but surely work towards sort of self-sufficient non-monetary communities where everybody can pursue people are allocated to work for a sort of designated amount of time per week, and then they can pursue their own interests and develop skills that are ultimately going to be useful. I mean, it all sounds very kind of ideological and a bit sort of communist, I suppose, but
you're clearly
what's wrong with being ideological?
There's nothing wrong with being ideological, and this is the great. This is what's so amusing. I mean, so many of the things that people are beating their drums for that they believe are have a ideological bent are not. We've been sold down on so many false ideologies. It's sort of. But this is we're trying to sort of get to the root of what the true ideology should be, and what people should actually be concentrating on. Oh, wait a minute. No worries.
We're in a system that tries to control us, okay? And they do it largely through addictions. They've gotten us addicted to money. They've got us addicted to petroleum. They've got us addicted to a variety of dangerous pharmaceutical drugs as well as street drugs. They've got us addicted to all kinds of things. And it is harmful.
Hello?
It's harmful emotionally.
Hey, Laura.
It's harmful physically.
Hold on. Oh, God, blimey, I tell you what. Guests are so useless. Look, Laura, hold on. Just bear with us a sec, Laura. Yeah. She's only... Okay. We'll get there. Michael, carry on, Michael. God bless you.
Okay. So...
I'm just out.
Laura, you're going to have to wait. Just be patient. I've only just called you. We're in a live show. I tell you, don't you ever listen? Do these people never listen to the radio? Sorry.
Laura's done the radio lots, Ollie. Stop being so bloody rude. I apologise for my co-host, Laura. He has no manners whatsoever. You're very welcome to join the conversation straight away. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, and thank you for agreeing to give us your time. You're phoning in from California.
So good to be here.
Thanks. I mean, you're phoning in from California as well. We've got Michael Finley on as well from California. So we've got two from California and two from Europe, firing our words across the Atlantic and around the world. So how's things, Laura? I've heard you've had a hectic couple of weeks, I hear.
Yeah, I'm just kind of in recovery. So yeah, I'm feeling a little funky and
Why
a little
are you in
loopy.
recovery? What have you been doing?
Well, my car was totaled. And
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Are you all right?
off a cliff.
You went off a cliff.
I almost went off a cliff.
Oh my God.
Anyway, yeah.
Were you on one of those windy roads up in the hills, and what did you hit that one of those metal barriers and then sort of bounce off and the car thankfully didn't go over the ravine and you're thankfully very much still with us? Is that what happened? Oh my Lord!
Hold on a sec. Hold on. This is all very confused. Look, Laura, you're lovely, but you're going to have to bear with us because we're
Ollie's a stickler for keeping the format to the show. So we'll bring.
Because otherwise, I have wonderful people that listen to Revolution Radio are wondering what we're talking about. It's like
okay, all right.
Talking to Michael about
forgive. Okay, you carry on, and we'll bring you in, Laura. So thank you once again for being with us.
Don't drive while you're on the show, please. No driving.
Go on, Ollie. Then, Michael, where were we? We were talking about.
Tell us about cancer. Yeah, no, we're going to bring Laura into this chat in a second. She's going to, give us a bit of the old serious conspiracist shift on this. But Michael, what you're telling us? Reason we got you on the show tonight is to discuss cancer is a big con. That they've had a cure since 1931, and
at least.
I mean, this sounds crazy. You're an intelligent man. Hold on, this can't be true.
Okay, well, I'll tell you very clearly. First of all, 1931, the Nobel Prize in Science went to a doctor by the name of Otto Warburg. He proved in a book that he published what causes cancer and what cures cancer. And he made it very clear, and we know for sure that what he said is true because he proved it. Okay. Not only that, but science has used the information that he came up with to develop even tests for cancer, such as the PET scan. Let me explain a couple of things real quick.
What did he prove? What did he prove?
Okay. That's exactly what I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
He proved, for one, that cancer loves sugar. Okay. A regular healthy cell has about 4 sugar receptors. A cancer cell has more than 90. So cancers love sugar. This is why the PET scan works as a test for cancer. They take some sugar, they make it radioactive, and then they put it in a drink and you drink it. And then if you have cancer tumors in your body, they gobble up that sugar. So now we take an X-ray and you can see the tumors glowing on the X-ray because they gobbled up the radioactive sugar. So we know that works. We know why it works because cancer cells love sugar. He also is the one who first scientifically identified that cancer thrives in an environment that is acidic and low oxygen. Okay, most cells are aerobic, meaning that they need oxygen. Cancer cells are anaerobic; they don't need oxygen, and so
I'm not
tend
very
to thrive
aerobic.
in that environment. So if your body
Are
is
you
made
aerobic?
alkaline, am I aerobic?
Yeah.
I'm very aerobic. Yes, I do martial arts workouts. I do jogging. I do swimming. I do all kinds of things. So.
What does that mean in terms of cancer cells?
Also,
they
being alkaline.
What do you mean
sorry,
they need something aerobic? They need.
Okay, regular cells need oxygen. Cancer cells don't. Cancer cells are anaerobic. Okay, So cancer cells actually do poorly in an oxygen-rich environment. They also do poorly in an alkaline environment. So if you have cancer, then we know some things for sure. One is you've been feeding it with sugars. Another is that there's some kind of a trigger that happened, exposure to a carcinogen or to radioactivity, for example. And we also know that your body is too acidic. So we can fix that. We can fix it by reducing your exposure to the things that triggered the cancer, by cutting down on the foods you're eating that are high in sugars, in alcohol, in sugar-related substances like starchy carbohydrates, processed flour. We cut down that, then you stop feeding the cancer, and then we also focus on turning your body more alkaline and more oxygen rich, and there's many ways to do that. And there have been therapies that have been used over the years that have shown that this works. One is the Gerson protocol, which is largely organic vegetable juice fasting and coffee enemas, and there were hearings held on this. If you look up on the internet, the Pepper-Neely hearings from 1946, you'll see that based on all the testimony that was heard, it was shown that the Gerson protocol had a more than 90% success rate for curing cancer. This was 1946. And immediately, the big pharmaceutical companies contributed large amounts of money to the people who were running against Pepper and Neely, and so neither of them got reelected, and all of their ideas about helping to promote this kind of natural health remedy for cancer disappeared. Also, our government made it illegal to use the Gerson protocol to treat cancer in the United States. So we found cancer cures, and instead of using them, we stuck to what the big pharmaceutical companies wanted, which is chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery only.
Do you know anything about this, Piers?
No, I'm finding this very enlightening, actually. This, I don't know the history of cancer treatment at all, and I'm finding out a lot about alternative remedies tonight. Absolutely. I do understand the whole alkalinity acidity thing. Absolutely, I do. And it does worry me that I don't follow a more healthy lifestyle myself, and I'm wondering what I'm setting myself up for in the future. I think a
philosophical debate, possibly.
Yeah. One thing this show will certainly do will be making me think about maybe making some alterations in the way I choose to live.
Michael, if you were struck down with cancer today, God forbid, if you were told, what would you do in terms of looking for a cure?
Oh, that's a great question, and I know exactly what I'd do. First of all, I wouldn't let anybody come anywhere near me with chemotherapy or radiation. I would, depending on the type of cancer, where it's located might make a difference what I would do to treat it. One of the things I would do is I'd immediately check my diet and see how much sugar, alcohol, and starchy carbohydrates am I consuming, because I know those will feed the sugar. Okay, I want to take those out of my diet.
Do you drink, Michael? Do you consume?
I have been known to have a drink occasionally.
Are you being sarcastic, or do you actually mean that? I mean,
no,
do you
I'm
have
being
a glass?
honest. I every once in a while I'll have a glass of wine or a beer.
Sure.
So
what about European consumption of alcohol? I mean, obviously, in Europe, wine gets consumed liberally. In France and Italy and
Spain, you got to get rid of it. I mean, we grow so much.
Exactly. There's tons of the stuff around. I mean, they obviously export a lot of it, but they obviously have a huge amount left over, so they drink it. And the cancer rates are not as high as some of the other places. Like in American culture or British culture. The
Mediterranean diet is.
I mean, there are a lot of antioxidants in red wine, aren't there? I mean, this is what I'm trying to convince myself.
There can be health benefits. There can be health benefits in moderation. A lot of fermented foods are probiotic as well, which can be positive. So there just needs to be a balance. Now, if I'm going to actually fight an active cancer, what is probiotic? It means that it has good bacteria and yeasts in it that are positive for the body. There's negative germs and there's positive germs. There's some germs that if you don't have them in your intestinal tract, you're not going to properly digest your food.
Sure. Yeah,
so when we're eating a yogurt with active cultures, for example, or a kefir or a kombucha that has active cultures in it, you're populating your digestive tract with those positive bacteria and yeasts.
Yeah. That's right.
So that would be
you can buy, there's various products on the shelves, aren't there? Yeah, probiotic yogurt. There's various products in the supermarket that have these active probiotic bacteria in them.
Absolutely. I'd also be looking into what triggers am I exposed to? How much am I exposed to radiation? How much am I exposed to other carcinogens? And I'd be trying to cut those out of my life and detoxify. Then I'd be looking into using remedies that I know work. Okay. For one, I'd be making sure my diet is such that that it's going to turn my body more alkaline. I'd also be looking into herbal remedies. The Gerson protocol is a great way to turn your body more alkaline. And I'd be using cannabis because there's
I agree with that.
Solid documentation that cannabis kills cancer.
Yeah.
So
it's a good excuse.
Exactly
anyway.
What type would I use would depend upon where
all of it.
Where is the cancer?
All of
it. Also, I mean, cannabis isn't just good for cancer. It also seems to cure all manner of different other complaints. I mean, it seems to have a hugely beneficial effect on Parkinson's.
It's fantastic when you need a poo. Does slides right out.
Well, that's more probably the tobacco content of whatever you're smoking with your marijuana. But yeah, certainly nicotine, I think, has a very positive effect on the bowel movements.
That does it too. Yeah, but the old anti-inflammatory that can do wonders, and you know. Less of a clear up after, and you know.
I mean, no. But in all seriousness, the positive benefits of cannabis seem to be extraordinary, we
have to be careful to not think that it cures everything, because honestly, it doesn't cure everything. But there are a variety of conditions that it's very good and very effective at treating.
He's going to say that. He's going to put a clause in, you know, Laura.
I think Laura's just gone again. She popped back in and then she's gone again. I think we need to pull her into the conversation. Laura, apologies for basically sort of sticking to our predefined chat. Oh, she's back. Here we are.
You thought I was rude, didn't you, Piers? You thought I was.
I thought Ollie was a little bit blunt. You've got to be genteel with our guests, Oliver. I know you're a general, a stickler for sticking to the show protocol, but one has to bear in mind that using Skype is a technology that requires a certain amount of organic evolution and allowances for errors.
You need to be probiotic.
So please do allow our guests to pop in and join the conversation ad lib. So yes. Anyway, Laura, sorry. So what's your take on all of this, Laura? I don't know whether you've been listening to any of our conversations so far. Have you had any experience with close friends or family that you know, in relation to the subject matter cancer and all the rest of it, and have any of your friends or anybody you know, have they chosen to go down on the alternative route in terms of medication?
Oh, there's a huge spectrum on all this. I've had friends that have taken the conventional approach, tried the alternative, but they were like stage 4, and I think just kind of freaked out and were like, oh, I just have to just opt for this. I just lost one of my best friends who is very conscious, but I wasn't able to like keep up with everything. I just sent her stuff, stuff about CBD, stuff about
What's
diatomaceous
CBDs?
earth.
Cannabinoids.
Yeah. And
So basically smoking a spliff.
No, there are various ways of taking it. I mean, it's not just about
Well,
smoking.
you could shove it up your
Well,
ass, but it's basically some kind of injection, isn't it?
CBD is low in THC
But she
content,
didn't-
so
Oh, hold on. Oh no. Oh, this is a break.
We'll bring you
guys. We're
back. We'll
coming
bring
back.
you all back in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Listen in.
No,
Listen in.
2 minutes. Don't
minutes.
quick pee. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Jingly-Jangly. Good Lord. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh no. Stop. Oh, blimey.
Well, that was the worst clapping in history, Ollie. Oh, Lord.
Tapping on repeat,
dear.
mate. Had a slight problem. I thought my machine had frozen then. I thought I was going to reboot the damn thing in the middle of the show. Oh,
That's all right. I could have managed. That would have been fine. In fact, yeah.
Well, you could have put the connection to the server, so that would have been it.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, of course, you've got the server to play with. Yeah, I don't do the technical side of this show. I literally only kind of only talk. Ollie does all the technical wizardry. Listen, yeah, we seem to have lost Laura again. Michael, are you there?
I'm still here.
Excellent. So let's carry on. Where were we? We were talking about cancer and treatments and all the rest of it. Laura was just about to sort of get going on telling us about some of her experiences and some of her friends' experiences. I mean, I've seen videos online on YouTube that seem to be demonstrating quite sort of remarkable qualities, in terms of certainly cannabis's ability to be able to cure latter stage cancer. Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether there's a lot. Yeah. I don't know how much research gone into this. I mean, and how much you can believe some of these videos. But
there must also be a compromise between curing the cancer and ending up like something out of Cheech and Chong.
I don't know. That sounds like a fun life to me. Cheech and Chong were pretty funny. But now I'm not a big cannabis user, but I don't have a problem with people who are. And if you look at the University of Spain study in particular, they showed under the microscope cancer cells dying. In fact, it looked like the cancer cells were killing themselves.
Good evening, everybody. This is Jingly-Jangly. Indeed, yes, we're still here. I'll tell you, bloody Skype. Don't know what the deal is. I just didn't do anything. Just got cut off. Wondered if we were still on air. Couldn't be sure either way. Now wondering, what are my guests called? Oh, my co-host is called Piers. Yeah. Helps to remember that. We got Michael Finley. He's a nice chap. He's on. So I'm going to try and get him back. And we got Laura Eisenhower. Wow, she had a pretty cool grandfather, didn't she? Yeah, we'll try and get her back. Ask about him. So I'm calling those guys. And we'll see if that works. Oh, dear. I'll tell you what. Hey, do we have Mr. Garnham? Piers? Do we have anybody? Michael? Laura?
You have me, Michael.
Well, that's the main thing. We've got Michael Finley. We've got our guest. Laura.
You got me.
We got Laura. We got Laura Eisenhower too. Well, she's rather nice too. Piers. Piers, we've got problems getting Piers. I don't know what's going on with Piers. Okay, let's carry on, and I'll try and get Piers back. Right. Michael, bottom line, is Big Pharma taking medical cannabis seriously, or is it really... Because it has tried to put off the inevitable for decades, hasn't it? Lobbying government, against medicinal use of cannabis and what have you. It seems to have got finally caught out by popular opinion, and now it seems to be desperately trying to catch up, buying all the rights and what have you to basically screw the public out of yet another weed that grows out of the ground.
Yeah, there does seem to be an indication that it's heading that way. We also know that Monsanto is working on a genetically modified version of cannabis. so that they can patent that. And of course, that'll make for
Why
a
do
much
we need
more
a genetically
dangerous product.
modified version of something that grows?
We don't.
Yeah.
Have you
We
guys
don't.
been on air the
They
whole
need it
time?
because they want to patent it.
Yeah. Laura, what's your take on this? Oh no, have we lost the president's granddaughter?
Be
We
nice.
keep losing the president's granddaughter. Piers,
Have you been drinking or something? Stop being so. Why are you being so funny?
I haven't done anything.
We've got nice guests on. Let's be.
That's Ike's granddaughter.
It
I was
is.
born in London, by the way.
I'm standing to attention. You can't hear you though. Useless.
Let her speak. Let her speak. She was saying that she was born in the UK.
Yeah.
There you go. That's better.
Whereabouts in the UK were you born, Laura?
In London, it doesn't matter. Anyway, yes, I'm pretty familiar with all this. I mean, I have clients. I work with people, every day on these sort of topics. People with cancer, Morgellons, of the cancer patients. I just feel so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
what are you doing? You're not driving over a cliff or something, are you?
Ollie, that is not funny. She totaled her car, dude. Come on.
I'm sorry.
Just a little bit of respect for our guests. Thank you very much, Laura. I mean, you're in. You do a lot of different things. Is healing part of one of the things you do? I mean, does that feature in your lexicon of things?
Yes, I work with cancer patients, and as an astrologer, I can kind of, help them to understand the root of how that cancer happened. When it comes to what sort of nutritional support, there's all sorts of cures. We're just kept from the information, and I'm pretty privy to the information.
What are the main cures then, Laura, for cancer? I know it's a general word, but
personally, this is what I've come to understand.
Go on.
Turmeric shrinks tumors. I myself live on turmeric.
Windex? No. What?
Turmeric.
Yeah.
I've tried to find that in the supermarket because I've read the same thing. I've heard that mixing turmeric with coconut oil and ginger is actually a very good combination of things to be taking. But I can't find turmeric anywhere. It doesn't seem to be readily available. Where do you get yours?
You can order it at just Google turmeric. You can get the tincture, you can get salt powder, and you can kind of mix it.
It's in the supermarket here.
Yeah, I just get the tinctures, and then I boil hot water, and then I just squeeze the tincture into the tea, and it evaporates the alcohol. Diazepam
Laura,
cancer.
I have a question for you. Because you're a good girl. You're probably an Ivy League girl. Yeah, I mean you put it this way: you had the best opportunities in life, and
wait.
How is it you turned into such a hippie?
There's no trouble, family. I didn't go to Ivy League. My background's wilderness expedition leadership, and I started I ran one of the first organic food shipping, and I actually ran one of the first organic food stores in the country. So I didn't go to college. Really, I got an associate's degree, but no, I'm like the black sheep.
What would your grandfather think of you now? And tell me, what would your grandfather think of the state of the world now?
That's a good question.
He's happy with it. He's been a guide of mine. I mean, he's been with me my whole life.
Really? That's lovely.
Yeah. We have a really strong connection. We're not the kind of family that people might. But no, he's pissed. He comes through a lot. He's just he's not too pleased, and he wishes he could have done more. And so he knows I'm doing all I can to expose as much as I can. So he helps me out.
You know,
That's cool. That's really cool. Michael, what do you feel? What do you feel about this sort of degree of intuition? And you know, this. Are you familiar with this sort of world? I mean, I know that we're talking about alternative cures for cancer tonight, but Laura has expansive knowledge. You know, in terms of you know, other realms and our ability to communicate with them. And I mean, what's your stance on this? Do you believe in any of this, or what's your stance?
Actually, I use intuition in my natural health work. I think that spirituality is important. I think that we are not just physical beings. We are made out of energy, we're made out of spirit. And if we don't look at ourselves and try to heal on every level, then we're not going to.
You're not a regular lawyer, are you, Michael? You're not a regular
What?
You're
What's
not
that?
a regular lawyer.
He is a regular lawyer. He's
this
just
is-
a regular lawyer who thinks outside the box.
He's a regular lawyer. There's a very regular guy.
Well, I don't know
Okay.
if any of us are
So-
regular. I don't think any of the four of us.
I'm
would
regular when I
consider
smoke cannabis. That makes me regular. That keeps me good and regular.
ourselves. You're obsessed with your bowel movements, for crying out loud, man. I
Very
mean, like,
good.
Well,
Once a day.
there's
well,
something
whoopee-doo.
to be said for regularity.
Yeah.
So,
Actually-
but yeah, I do think that intuition is important. I do think that it's important we look at spiritual and emotional elements of this as well, because often I find if I'm working with the natural health patient that they do have emotional burdens held within their body, and often that's connected with the organs where the cancer started. So you do need to try to detoxify emotionally as well as physically.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot into this idea that the everything reality is just a conscious, it's expression of consciousness. That, you know, there've been some articles in the papers over the last few days in the Guardian and lots of other papers in the UK about how the universe. There's research that's come out of one of the universities, I think Southampton in the UK, that's basically been talking about how, and I think there's a lot of research into this area. Perhaps Laura can chip in on this. I mean, like, where everything's a hologram and the reality is just based on, I mean, physical consciousness is just, you know, it's conscious expression. It's reality is not what we think it is. It's I mean, I know we're getting into sort of David
You're
Icke
being a
territory when we
hippie.
talk about this, but
Yeah.
but this
But
is
it's also
also
quantum physics.
but it
It's
is. It
beautiful.
does
It's
relate to this healing issue that we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
And
This
there are
is your
many,
body, really,
Well-
in a practical sense, no?
but it's all about sort of realigning. There's a sort of, there's a guy called Pete Peterson that David Wilcock's been talking to a lot, and he's got this completely different view on. Laura, you're aware of this, aren't you? You know what I'm talking about. Is she there?
Yeah, it all sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Peterson, he's about sort of, it's about
She's
photons
humouring
and-
you, Piers. She doesn't agree.
No,
with
she's
you at
not.
all.
I think she does. She does know what I'm talking about. I mean, like,
Come on, Laura. He really believes in this mind, like, over
Yep.
matter business. Well, spirit over mind, for that matter, actually.
I do. Yeah.
And come on, you're into that, aren't you?
No, she is. But it's like, you know, I'm not very good at explaining myself. But I do believe that the mind is key, and we can cure so much with our minds because.
Is it the mind, Piers, or is it even deeper than that?
Well, I
mean,
believe
know
our
that you
physical
get-
reality is
Well-
is the expression of our collective consciousness. I don't know if Laura would agree with
Let me
that.
tell you something.
Go on, Michael.
But let me tell you something also along those lines. There's been tests done on chemotherapy compared to why am I drawing a blank? The type of pill that's a fake pill, placebo.
Oh, placebo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and the placebo has a higher success rate of curing cancer
Huh.
than chemotherapy does. So, so
does
that
not
means that
surprise
some
me.
of these people are curing themselves with their mind because of the
Psychosomatic.
belief.
Psychosomatic.
Well, the cancer itself is not psychosomatic, but
No.
because the cancer is documented and properly diagnosed.
Yeah.
And then, but if some people can get well from cancer just by thinking that what they're taking is healing them when it's actually they're taking nothing, then obviously the mind does have a power of healing.
I agree. I mean, you're absolutely right. The study into the placebo effect is extraordinary, and this is, I think consciousness plays a much bigger part in our general makeup than perhaps people could ever possibly imagine. There's lots of research into epigenetics as well about how our conscious experience in life rewrites our genetic code and is ultimately something that is passed on to our progeny. And this is one of the reasons why evolution can occur so rapidly, and we can adapt to an ever-changing environment. Darwin was right to a point, but he failed to sort of look into this possibility, this idea that consciousness might play a part in our genetic makeup. I mean, he boiled it down to random selection and genetic mutation and survival of the fittest. But it's not that. It's actually, there's something far more fundamental going on with the nature of how we evolve, and a lot of that's got to do with our conscious experience during any given lifetime. We pass part of that conscious experience on to our progeny, and they can learn from that. I mean, they've run mice through mazes. They've taken mice or rats. They've taken two female rats and they built a maze, and they'll leave one rat to the side, and they'll let the other female rat learn the maze until she's got it absolutely spot on, so she doesn't make any mistakes. And then they'll breed from both rats, the one that learned the maze, the one that didn't, and then they'll send the offspring of those rats through the maze. And the offspring from the rat that had learnt the maze are significantly better at finding their way through that maze than the ones that never learnt that maze. The mother, the progeny from the mother that never learnt the maze. So
that is a very interesting little thing.
Does that not prove that we do sort of, our consciousness plays a huge?
It certainly suggests such.
Well, it does, and I firmly believe this. I mean, if you start getting into the sort of properly esoteric, then and this seems to be what all these secret society organizations buy into. It's all this sort of mind over matter and consciousness over matter, and consciousness being the generator of physical reality. It is all about
Laura, are you as much of a hippie as Piers?
I'm a hippie. I don't know.
You are. If you believe in this kind of stuff, you got to be a bit. Let me put it another way. Are you as much of an alternative thinker?
I have been since I was a little kid. I refused to go to doctors even when I was really sick. I told my mom, I was just like, sorry. And sometimes she would make me go. But then when I really, could be a real bitch, years, when something was wrong, I just healed it myself. I would journey into my soul, and I would look at where the root of it was. I would make it go away.
That's cool. That's really cool. Do you know what blood group you are, out of interest? Or is that something you'd rather not reveal on air?
I don't give a shit.
Go for it.
Look, Laura, don't swear, yeah?
He's always telling me off for swearing on air. So
last week, Piers comes on. I'm not going to tell you what he said. The first thing he said, because he didn't think he was on air, and he strung out this long old list of two expletives actually. Anyway, Laura, sorry, carry on. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, go. I've completely forgotten what I asked her now. Yeah, what blood group are you? I'm an O negative, which is like
She doesn't give a whatnot.
Is that the same as you?
No, I'm B positive.
B positive. Okay. Yeah. No. Well, I think that's a good analogy.
Sounds like a command.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Be positive. Exactly. I think that's good. I mean, I've been researching blood quite a lot actually ever since I started to donate blood. You don't want me to talk about this?
No, carry on, Piers. Carry on. Yeah.
It is weird though. I mean,
how much whiskey do you have the night before you go off and give blood?
I take myself proper so they can barely get any juice.
I'd like to be one of your the opposite.
Well, the thing about being O neg is that you can give to everybody on the planet, so you can be super generous with your blood group, but you can only take. It's the only blood group that can only take its own group back. Everybody else can take a little bit of.
That's bad karma.
So it means you can be very generous, but you can't you can only take your own blood back. It's to do with the protein on the surface of the blood. It's an antigen. There's lots of antigens, proteins on the surface of red blood
Lots of
cells.
long words in
And the rhesus factor is just one antigen, the D antigen that seems to be observable in rhesus monkeys and apes. And 85% of the world's
rhesus
population
monkeys.
Yeah, 85% of the world's population have this D antigen
What's
in
a
their blood,
rhesus
and
monkey?
well, it's a monkey, isn't it?
Kind of monkey. I've never heard of a rhesus monkey.
Well, that's because you're an uneducated Philistine.
Okay.
I don't know, rhesus monkey. You know, they're little dudes. They're not that big. You know, they're not like apes, but they are monkeys. And but this D antigen exists in all monkey blood. And it also exists in 85% of the human blood population. However, this D antigen is missing in 15% of the. Do you know anything about this, Laura? Am I just sort of? Do you know anything about what I'm talking about, or have you studied this at all, or is this not an area that you've looked into? Is she gone?
She got bored, mate. I tell you. I think we all did.
I think she's there. I think she's just got a slightly dodgy connection.
Yo. No, I have looked into it a lot.
Go on, hit me.
Something that I found has something to do with there's something that has to do with copper. And that's my little. That's all I can add. See if you can connect that dot later about blue bloods. Something about copper, and the Rh negative factor, obviously.
Oh, hold on. Blue blood and copper. If you put a bit of copper whatnot around your wrist and leave it there for a while, you're going to get a blue wrist, aren't you? Right. That's what copper does to you. It's
green. I think it's a bit green.
Green, blue is similar.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that if you look at medical research, they're trying to the only argument they've got is that the negative blood comes from some sort of mutation that might have occurred a few thousand years ago. But blood is the least mutable thing. It doesn't make any sense. And actually, if negative women are carrying a positive fetus, their bodies will start to produce antibodies if there's any bleed between the fetus's blood and the mother's blood, and the mother's body will reject it as a foreign object. So why did negative blood ever come into being? Because it doesn't seem to have any practical application. It doesn't seem to have any necessary advantage. However,
missing link, Anunnaki.
Yeah, but one of the conspiratorial things that they list when you talk about blood is the sort of traits of people with negative blood.
Piers is the Anunnaki.
Anyway, we've gone off topic. Sorry,
it can affect all kinds of things.
Let's go
your blood
back
type can affect all kinds of things. It affects your face shape. It affects what kind of foods are more easily absorbed in your system. It can affect all kinds of things.
Good Lord.
It can, yeah. I think there's more to blood than perhaps people are aware of. It may even boil down to physical attraction. There might be something to do with your group that makes some people more appealing than others. I don't know. I have no idea.
I've noticed that I am more.
Have you been reading a lot of Twilight lately?
Hello, guys. There's been more than one seeding of the human race. So the positive factors more to the Earth. The negative factors relate more to off planet. So there's the AB would be the most balanced, but positive, negative, when we're wanting magnetic and electrical charge to be kind of working together, I would say that's healthy blood. And the Earth grids and our DNA connect, which also correlates with our blood. So we want to come back to a balance with the electrical and magnetic. We're going to be getting a lot of frequency downloads, which are electric, but the magnetic.
What on earth does that mean? Frequency downloads.
Sorry, you're speaking to the uninitiated. I've listened to Laura on the radio lots.
Yeah.
Every time you talk to Olly about downloads, he starts talking about regularity. So
that's an upload. Oh no, that's a download. Well, it could be around. Yeah, sorry, go on. Download. Yeah.
I hear you, Laura. I understand all this because this is my world, and I've heard Laura speaking on the radio many times in the past, and I get this. I do understand
Well,
this.
I need to get it. Oh, Laura,
All right,
can you explain what you
try and
mean?
explain it
What
to
on earth do you mean by
my layman friend.
he
like a
means
frequency
thick.
download. We've got artificial intelligence signals. We've got, cell towers. We've got, frequency modulations and distortions because of all the crap and the chemtrails and nanoparticles, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The organic ascension energies, though, are connected to electromagnetic waves that are increasing, and they've been increasing in this window period that we're in.
What window? What window?
Well, this is juncture in time and history.
Hold on, Piers. I'm asking Laura. What window, Laura?
It's called a stellar activation cycle, and the window's 2000 to 2017. And so this is the last year of really, making the connection.
According to who?
Well, it's according to the Mayan calendar and
calendar. Okay, all right.
That's just one thing, but there are huge numbers of scriptures that point to this particular juncture in history. Am I not right?
It has to do with the geophysics of the planet connected to the stargates. It has to do with the precession equinox. But there's a larger window that leads to 2025 that relates to the 13th gate. Since 2010, the sun started to move through the 13th sign, and it shifted everything. But there's also the 14th sign. If you look at
astrology, is this to do with the cycles of the planets and stuff?
Yes, but the stargates and the ley lines and the grids don't necessarily. But Ophiuchus, which is the 13th sign, is directly opposite Osiris and Orion. So that's the return. That's the balancing of the masculine and feminine that's coming online now. And so the frequency downloads have to do with getting in contact with a more authentic version of what that means. It's already within us. I mean, everything that's outside of us that we connect with has to first start within us. So if we're carrying a distortion, we're going to connect with artificial intelligence. If we're connected to our own personal...
Whoa, hold on. I just need to breathe here. I just need to breathe. Just going to breathe. Just a little bit of breathing.
I apologize.
I imagine that I am not the only person who wonders what on earth they're listening to.
I understand this stuff. This is the trouble. I did pre-warn Laura that she was coming on a show with the uninitiated. I don't know if you got that email, Laura. So I actually, when Laura starts to sort of talk in this way, I actually get it. But that's because I've done a lot of research into this particular field. So yeah, I do understand it is
some
difficult.
Some of it I get, and some of it's a little over my head too.
Okay.
I mean, let's try and work the conversation slightly back into. I mean, what you're talking about radio towers and cell towers and AI and all the rest of it, that I do believe has a significant effect on people's body chemistry and a negative effect, and therefore can induce potentially some of these cancerous
what you're
effects
talking about.
Well, I do. I mean,
Michael, what are they talking about?
Cell masts. Michael, you must have heard about.
That's got nothing to do with the Anunnaki.
We're not talking about the Anunnaki. We're talking about.
What are we talking about?
Well, now he's talking about basically electromagnetic fields, and we have all these electromagnetic fields around us that do affect us. We have cell towers putting out radiation. We have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and everything putting out radiation, and these things do impact us. They do have a physical effect on our body, and they might even be disrupting the electrical functions of our body, which are very important. Our thoughts and our actual healthy functions of our body require electricity. Our brains and our gut are both generating electricity that's used throughout the body to that's what our nervous system is. What's happening with the nerves is they're sending and receiving electrical systems.
Yeah. We've got all these neurons and electrons and stuff like that, so that kind of makes sense. Do you think that we're being manipulated purposely, or is this just kind of like the downside of technology?
I personally think we're being manipulated purposely. I think it's a bit like that film They Live, where it's like they're sending out a signal and keeping us all kind of dumbed down.
That's a great film.
Go on, Laura.
government being manipulated big time.
I agree.
If it's
Michael,
not
are you being
intentional,
manipulated?
it's at the very least irresponsible.
What is? Oh, okay.
Often,
Sorry, go on, Michael.
often big corporations and even small corporations sometimes do things because of the love of money and really don't care what kind of health impact it has on the consumers. So at the very least, there's a huge amount of irresponsibility with little to no research being done in advance to see how is this going to affect our health. I don't think they care as long as they can make money from us.
I agree. I think there is a degree of cynicism and just greed behind the motivation.
Short-sightedness as well, eh? Real short-sightedness, if that's the just a.
But I do believe there's something a bit more fundamental at play here. I do believe that we have had our conscious understanding of reality totally manipulated. To the point where we have been lied to about the ancient past, about the real history of man on this planet, and
We're lied to about the present.
I think we're lied to about the present constantly. I think most of what we read in the news is misdirection, and we have to start to realize that. You have to start realizing that what you're fed daily in the news and on telly and in the papers and in films and in TV is just a manipulation. It's designed to program you to think a certain way. And if the general consensus believe in a certain message, that is our destiny. So they know this, and therefore they shape our destiny and therefore create our future. But if we start to think outside the box and start to recognize the fact that we're being manipulated, we can come together and create a destiny that of our own choosing. I mean, Laura, do you have a reasonably positive outlook on the future, or do you see doom and destruction? I mean, like I remain. Good
question. Leave it there, Piers. That was a good question.
Okay.
Laura? I kind of see the bifurcation. I think it really comes down to the individual. I mean, looking at the collective, I don't know. I mean, I've always been watching the collective, and I always saw the positive timeline and have been advocating for it. You can't destroy the positive timeline. It's nature, it's what's
the positive timeline.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that God is perfection, like neutrality, the medium, the mean.
Why
harmony,
should God
balance.
be perfection? Why can't God just be a bit of each?
Universe
or whatever.
We're in a free will universe, so there's a lot of different scenarios. There's a lot of different things.
In other words, we've got religion, and then we got war.
Well, and then we have technology that sometimes overrides morality, and and spirituality can sometimes get in the way because it's a mind control thing. It's not coming from authenticity. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things that we're always given the choice to sort of bring in and then manifest, but there has to be it's like a plug in a receiver. You have to first perceive it to locate the signal. But if the signal's artificial, then you're on a path of digression. If it's organic, then you begin to upgrade DNA, you begin to heal and start to recognize what you're truly made of, and you start to recognize what it means to be sovereign, and you start to pull yourself away from dependency on political systems and all sorts of things. And I thought this show was going to be so easy tonight. I thought it was going to be so simple. Just a bit of big pharma, usual deal. Yeah, guess what?
No way, dude. You gotta push your boundaries, Ollie. Come on. I mean, the reason I invited Laura on this show is because she's good at thinking outside the box. I mean,
blimey, it's like a Russian doll.
No, I get what she's talking about. You see, you don't, because you don't have any frame of reference. I've researched this stuff that Laura's talking about.
I have, but I still don't understand it.
I do. It's about the rise of AI. I mean, it's constantly talked about in the press. You have no idea how dangerous AI is. Even Stephen Hawking has talked about how dangerous the rise of artificial intelligence is, and he's right.
Elon Musk also.
Elon Musk has talked about it as well. We're getting to the stage where robots, they're building machines that can, with auto gyration in them, that can stand up and walk about and climb stairs and jump over things. It's not going to be long before. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised already if they have the technology, to make them, semi-salient and, where to the point where they are going to be able to start sort of mass producing themselves. And we enter the arena of what they were talking about.
That is surely inevitable. Well, that is the case.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing.
There've
been all these films about, supplanting our consciousness.
Terminator.
And moving our consciousness into an AI format.
Happening because some technology is okay. It's not there has to be a balance, just like with the right and left brain and the masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
There is full technology, which is artificial intelligence. We have to have discernment and understand which is which, because some technologies really is going to help us.
I agree.
Some isn't. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, we need to go high tech and local, as I was saying earlier on. But we need to control AI. We cannot let AI control us. And it does seem
but that's ultimately impossible. It's a nice idea, but surely the logic says that ultimately it will overtake. That is the natural order of things.
Well, that seems to be what's happened around the universe, in a very detrimental way. And I won't bore you with why I think that.
It's happened on this planet. Because
it's happening on this planet. This is where we need to.
Let me finish. Because every time you have a more advanced civilization, i.e., more technologically savvy, it goes and kills the old civilization that is less so. Which is why the Mayans died out, and the Aztecs and all that. They were basically slaughtered by Spaniards who had sharper swords.
Well, that's your interpretation. You weren't there. You don't know what happened. But
that's what we're told by history. But it kind of makes sense too.
This is why this window period is so important, because the stargates are opening. The geophysics of the planet are such that something is happening in this window period. So all the knowledge and wisdom that the indigenous cultures had, the ones that weren't necessarily barbaric, so many have fled into inner Earth. There are many off-planet and
okay, this is another subject again. All right, carry on. The topics are mounting up in this show.
A deep subject.
It is a deep subject. I'm familiar with it, but it may not be familiar for everybody listening. But carry on, Laura.
Carry on.
We hold genetics beyond what we can possibly comprehend, because none of us are really natives.
Natives of
we
what?
Into this lower harmonic universe from a system called Tara. The planet Tiamat exploded, became the asteroid belt. So this planet was seeded as an ascension planet. And now we're at that place where the blossoming. It's like putting a seed into the ground that's a rose, and eventually it's going to blossom. We're at that stage where it's time to blossom. But there's so much that's trying to stop it, because we've been invaded a long time ago, and they've been trying to mess with the timelines for a really long time.
That was close, but well recovered.
Laura, do you believe that Trump will be the disclosure president?
Good question.
Well, I'm gonna make that's my goal. I'm gonna bug the shit. I'm gonna bug him until it happens. Yeah.
You don't get asked on CNN often, do you? I'm just
no. I'm liking Laura because you're
I like Laura too.
all my. I'm like you, Laura. I want to swear all the time, and I have to.
Yes, and you can't. You know what?
Yeah, but Ollie's constantly telling me off on the radio for swearing.
Yeah, because otherwise, Revolution Radio gets fined, and we need to.
Do they? Yeah.
Well, yeah, we could get pulled off the air. It's the FCC, Piers.
I want to ask Laura another question. Sorry, Michael, we're going to have to get you back into this conversation at some point. But Laura,
okay,
You don't have. Do you have Trump's number? Can you actually have you spoken to the guy, or is this some?
I'm working on it, but I gotta do some grounding and shielding, and not get driven off cliffs because I'm from the White House gates and mess some stuff up here.
Hold on. Whoa. Laura, you're not suggesting that you were forced off the road the other day somehow, that there was something sinister in that accident?
No, I don't always jump to that conclusion. It was really bad weather. Okay. It's just good that
you just said that though. Do you
I missed that. Go on, Laura.
Road, but I can't say by what necessarily. I mean, I'm constantly attacked. I've been targeted. I was pre-targeted before I was even born. So at this point, it doesn't matter. I'm so close to coming. Brushes with death are a normal thing. So it's like, basically a vehicle
targeted before you were even born.
Well, she has. Let me just jump to her defense.
No, come on. Let's get old Michael back into this as well. Michael, what does she mean by that?
You're asking me what she means by that?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know if she has Donald Trump's number, but she probably has his numerology. So I think that it is important that we try to speak up, that we try to be heard. In my opinion, because sometimes I'm quite an activist myself, and sometimes people wonder, why do you bother?
Yes.
Well, because I want to improve the collective consciousness to the point where more of us get it, more of us understand what's going on, more of us understand that actually good health, including healing from cancer, is actually very simple to do. And a lot of it does have to do with our mental and spiritual health as well. So I think it's good that she's trying to influence things in a way that's positive and is in line with her feelings and her purpose in life. Do I think that Trump is likely to listen to me or her? I honestly don't. I think he's still a very wealthy man who parties with the wealthy and cares very little about the average person.
Which makes you think that he's not going to be a good president, that he's basically going to be
hypothetical
another corporate puppet. I mean, do you think there's any hope, Laura, that what Trump's doing is hyperbolic and designed to distract people from things that may be going on behind the scenes? I mean, there's been a lot of rumor.
Or might he actually drain the swamp, which is what your grandfather told us about, the military-industrial complex, and to be aware of that. And to be warned of that. That was what Ike told us about. Now, it seems to me that there is just a chance that this president, the first president in my lifetime, he actually might do something about that. He's talking about draining the swamp.
You're even thinking, can this president do this or that? Because we're still dealing with the shadow government. We're still dealing with all these other operations going on. Democrat, Republican is similar to Zionism and Nazism. It's all designed to conquer and divide, to create this. I'm voting for this person. I'm voting for that person. I can say that it's good that the Clintons are not in office because they're connected to the Illuminati. But Trump, no, he's a moron, but it gives us some time and it gives us some an opportunity to really create some strategy to figure out how we're going to freaking bring the human race together, because it's not going to come down to the presidents or the politicians. We have to figure it out as a human race and forget about them. Forget about them.
How are we going to get disclosure? Yeah. How are we going to make disclosure happen? Because I am firmly of the belief that we've been lied to.
You can't look to the government to do it. What she's saying is, let's stop looking to the government for solutions. Let's make the solutions ourselves.
Yeah,
and I agree with her.
I agree. Yeah, you're right. We need to come together. We do. we need to find the common ground. I mean, that's essentially what we're saying here, isn't it? I mean, you're absolutely right, Laura. Politics is designed to divide us, as is religion. And it's a man-made tool of division, divide and conquer. And if we only
is it man-made? Is it man-made or might be?
Well, I do believe
alien-made. Eh?
Well, I mean,
I'm just latching onto your theme, Piers.
I will say now, live on the radio, that yes, I do believe that we have been dealing with people from elsewhere for a very long time, and that has been kept from the general populace. And as bizarre and strange as that might sound to a number of people, I've researched this for so many years, and I've met so many interesting people who compel me to believe, and not just because they're cynically trying to make money out of this, because to be fair, there is no money to be made in this.
Do you agree with that, Michael?
Well, there's a Canadian defense minister who agrees with them, and
Michael
very
Elliott,
publicly made statement. I've been researching this phenomenon. I'm not an abductee. I've never met a space alien to the best of my knowledge, although maybe they were well disguised and had good makeup on.
You didn't want that.
I would be
intrigued
to have an opportunity to communicate with somebody from another planet. I think would be very interesting. I think that would be an opportunity of a lifetime.
That would be an interesting encounter, from what I have heard on the old Laurie show.
But as Laura was saying,
I've seen things in the sky that I have trouble explaining, that I then consider to be unidentified, and they were airborne. So I guess that's a flying object.
I've seen that.
I do believe we're not alone in the universe. I think just mathematically, it's impossible. In a universe this big, we can't be the only life mathematically.
There is
and I don't believe that we're the first intelligent life. I don't believe that we're first intelligent life to evolve in this solar system. I mean, there seems to be an enormous evidential body out there now to suggest that actually life has evolved. Venus was not in the habitable zone many hundreds of millions of years ago, and we could do a whole bunch of shows on this. I mean, this is something that gets talked about a lot in the alternative media, certainly on Gaia with Wilcock and Good. I mean, Laura's going to do a conference with Corey Good. Is that right, Laura, or am I getting that wrong?
That's good.
We have some coming up in this next year. I mean, Conscious Life Expo's coming up. I know he's going to be there, but
he's not been well himself in the last few days. You said you were going to Australia or something to do a conference down there. Is that right? Is he going to be there at that?
I don't know. All I know is I'm going to Hawaii with him and Kauai, and the Mount Shasta thing isn't happening with him, but I think I'm going to be seeing him at Conscious Life Expo. But
to those that don't know who Corey Good is, I mean, he has been doing a program with David Wilcock on Gaia TV online for over a year and a half now. And he claims to be a part of the secret space program. So NASA, the public version of NASA, is just a front, basically, to keep the masses entertained with missions to the moon and the shuttle and the ISS. But actually, evidence seems to suggest that that this is far more far-reaching, and that we have vessels that can go well out into the solar system and beyond, and that there are ruins and bases on the moon and Mars, and that we're out there, man. We're out there.
Look, guys, this happens every week, and I know Piers is going to call me the format Nazi again, but we're running out of time.
Okay, and let's bring it back for 5 minutes.
No. I'm going to kick the guests off, Piers, mate, and just have a chat with you. And I want to say, Laura Eisenhower, I do hope you will come back, because you're wonderful and good value. And even if CNN won't have you, we will. And I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah, Laura,
that you came on.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
So much. So many questions.
That's not normal. I have back pain right now, so it's easy.
Laura, I don't know what normal is. You're absolutely adorable. Thank you very, very much. And Michael Finley, thank you too, an old friend of JJ's now, and very, very lovely to have you back on the show. And
Great to talk to you both again.
There's never
very
enough
nice
time
to have you on,
discuss this
Michael.
stuff.
You're a fantastic guest. Both of you,
Both of you,
Laura and
both of
Michael,
you.
both come
And
back, please.
We'll be in touch, and we'll please get you
Absolutely.
back.
Okay.
Piers,
cool.
mate, there's never ever enough time, anything like enough time we barely scratch the surface. And I don't know about you, but at the end of each show, I feel a bit frustrated at how little we've actually managed to cover.
I know we could outdo George Norrie, I think, 3 or 4 times over. You know, it's like, I mean, we've been very lucky and fortunate to have some great guests on tonight, and we could tap.
They're crackers, aren't they?
So much.
I didn't mean nutters. I meant cracking.
That neither of them are crackers at all. They both talk a lot of sense. It's just a question of.
It's very hard for people to understand as well.
It is because there are a huge number of the uninitiated out there. But what I have to say is go and do your research. Go and look at Divine Cosmos. Go and look at Sphere Being Alliance. Go and look at Michael's page, about natural cancer cures. I mean, he's well documented. He's done a lot of research and a huge amount of writing about this subject, which
it's very interesting what he said about turmeric.
I've heard about that. I have heard about turmeric and ginger and coconut oil, and there are huge.
Coconut oil is good for cleaning your teeth too.
There's a huge number of natural cures and stuff that's way and beyond anything we've talked about tonight. But guys, Michael, Laura, thank you very much for coming on our show. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and I hope the listeners have, I actually believe that quite a lot of the people listening tonight will get what was said tonight. I don't think all the guests are going to be completely uninitiated. I know that I'm more akin to the sort of things that Laura talks about than perhaps some are, but I do think she makes some very.
You love it, Piers.
I do love it, and I want to really start to I think we need to do a few shows on that subject matter alone, where we can really get deep into it. And but we, I think we also need to get Mike on to sort of level the playing field again a bit as well, and bring some sanity into the fray. And Mike, you're a great guest, mate. You're such a.
They've all gone, mate. They've all gone.
But I'm just praising if they're still listening. I mean, it's nice to give our guests a bit of praise.
They were good people. They were good people.
Yeah, no, I think
so. Old Gary couldn't make it. He's moving house and he's worried about his chickens or something.
Yeah, man.
He's
We
having
didn't
to
have
move
any
them.
dead air tonight, did we? Because I got cut off briefly.
Yeah, we did. I had to call back into the studio.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea why. Just cut us off suddenly, and then
It was when Michael was just about to start waxing lyrical about alternative cancer cures, and I do wonder, don't you, who's listening in, and you do wonder what kind of abilities they have in order to, he was just getting into his getting into a nice little segment of talking very eloquently about this, and he was just going to start mentioning some of the alternative cures, and then bam, we get cut off. And it does make you think that maybe, somebody's listening in from Big Pharma who just doesn't want people to know about all this alternative medicine. And I mean, it was, as you say, we just got cut off for no reason.
it does make you wonder. It makes you wonder.
It does make you wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah. So I suppose that we're kind of, coming up to the end of the show. It was a nice show. We're still playing with the format, people, and some of the technical stuff and things. We're learning, Piers, no?
Learning on the job.
Yeah. You're quite regular, though. No, you don't need a bit of cannabis to get that going.
No, I'm good, thanks. Every day, without fail.
my plumbing is appalling. Oh, Garrett, okay.
You need the medicinal cannabis, don't you, in your life? I mean, it's an essential part of your being.
Oh, it's a wonderful thing. We got old Gary's back next week, isn't he? He's coming back, and
hopefully, yeah.
We got Mel Carlo and Terry Christopher, a couple of online activists who are going to tell us about fake news. And
who's
stuff.
coming up next on Revolution?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do. It's Mike Harris. Mike Harris coming up. So listen to him. Short end of the stick. And that was us. Jingly-Jangly. Ciao.
Ciao.
listening to Revolution Radio.